Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix of Winds of Change. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get on Steam. Anyways, in the last Let's Play, we did these 3 loyalty missions. She got hers by saying she could keep her parents' daggers, or she should. His by, letting him win at getting on top of the tree, and then actually failed his by saying, hey, if we got this far, maybe you should go a little bit farther in finding out about your parents, because I just feel like that might be a thing that would just keep on gnawing at him, Apparently that's the wrong thing. If I say, hey, fuck we're your family, which is also true, that gets us a loyalty mission. So we did that, Why would you click that? Okay. But boy, this is a decision that's hard. Well, hopefully we don't make any bad decisions. So, now Damek. Damek leads me to town square of Museo. Because of our correct conversations, I know what's going on. Our recent conversations. Also, we didn't talk to Pro about him stabbing us, He's taking me to the spot where he lost his mother during the occupation rites. Must be hard for him. I can see him shaking as we walk through the town. But if facing his painful memory helped him move on, it was my duty to assist him. In the coming storm, he needed to be resolute. Helping him would help all of us.
I can't thank you enough for coming with me, Monarch. There's not many people I trust this much. I'm really glad I have you. Until today, I've only had dreams about doing this. But now, I'm strong enough. And honestly, it's all because of you. I give a little credit to my near-death experience, but not all of it. You've grown into a capable leader, and led us all down the right path.
Hopefully. He smiles and I smile back at him. It was nice to receive some support after all we've been through. Being the monarch wasn't very easy, but it's a weight that I had to carry. Walking through the town square, taking back alleys of occasional shortcuts, back alleys. After a while, we end up at a large open area. I'm surprised they haven't built shops here.
This is where town meetings are held. They don't happen very often, but they need a big open space. There's a lot of people in Museo, so everyone deserves a chance to attend.
Soon after that, however, his tone becomes more serious.
A lot of bodies in one place. That's just what they needed during the occupation. This is where it happened, Monarch. The stuff with my mother.
I nod at him as we take steps closer towards the center.
You may notice a crimson tint on the ground here. This is where they piled the bodies during the attack. So much blood. So much carnage. Permanently stained. Just like the memories in my head. As hard as I try, I can't just scrub those off either. Every other night, I wake up in a cold sweat. Crying. I feel the lingering touch of her hand against mine. Then, the moment she goes away, it makes me feel empty inside. There's nothing left to feel, except all those corpses pressed against me. A warmth that slowly dissipates, leaving me cold and alone. I had to stay under them until things died down. Almost a whole day. The moment I could, I got out and took her pendant along with me. It's all I have to remember her by, but perhaps that's why I can't let it go. How can you move on from something when you remind yourself of it every day? Just the thought, of course. But after all I've been through, at least it's a thought with merit.
He holds up his hand and shows me the pendant he's holding. I've seen it a few times now. He seems to carry it with him everywhere. Of course, as he suggested, that also means he carries the memory along as well.
Let's keep moving. I'll show you exactly where it happened. Just stay close to me, okay? This is hard.
I nod and start to follow him as he ventured deeper into the open area. A podium rests in the center, likely where they'd hold these meetings from. Soon I picture what this place would look like during the occupation. I cringe. After a while, Damek stops dead in his tracks and looks down at the ground. His body language and reaction tells me it's exactly where his trauma happened. I position myself right beside him and wait for him to speak. I couldn't rush him now.
Well, this is it.
He clutches the pendant close to his chest.
Would you sit with me, Monarch? We might be here for a while after all.
He sits on the ground, attracting stares from a few passers-by. I join him, caring more about his well-being than the judgment of those around us. Looking down the ground, he places the pendant down and moves it around slightly.
It was right here, I think. You never really forget, you know. I hope it's not weird to sit here with me.
I shake my head and let him know what he needs to do. Let him do what he needs to do.
Coming here to face what happened. I needed to do this. But now I'm not sure what to do next. I mean, with the pendant. Do I leave it behind? Just like my memories, or do I hold on?
That's a good question. I can tell it's bothering him.
I'm sure someone will just come around and steal it anyway. But maybe that's for the best. It can be somebody else's burden. I think I've grown tired of carrying it around for my entire life. However, I also don't want to regret doing this. I could be acting rashly in the face of our final battle. It wouldn't be the first time somebody has done that, you know.
I nod and let him speak.
Look at me. The world is at stake, and I'm worried about this. You know what? With everything you've done for us, I trust you. What do you think I should do, Monarch? Take it or leave it? Besides, I'm a bit biased here in almost every regard. Your head is more clear than mine, so it's worth a shot. What do you think I should do here? What's the right choice?
My right choice is quick save, just in case I picked the wrong one. Bugger! I'm not sure if he can have a good... Like, maybe he could do this, but... Try this?
You're right. I think this is something I need to do. It'll be hard, but I need to move on. I can't hold myself back. We're fighting to liberate our world and push forward, right? It's a bit hypocritical for me to do the opposite to myself. I hope whoever picks it up goes on to take good care of it. It means a lot to me, and I hope it can do that for others too.
He places his hand on the pendant, touching it one last time.
It's time for me to let go, Mother. This was always yours. I was just holding on to it for a while. I'll miss you always. But your sacrifice for me will never be forgotten.
I'm not tearing up. You're tearing up. He smiles and lets go of the pendant. It shimmers in the sun. We both stand up and turn back in the direction we came from.
Well then, should we get going?
Yeah. Okay, right choice. I nodded, and we started walking back the way we came. But Damek looks much happier and content than he did earlier. Perhaps the events of today would give him a clear mind in the future. As our final battle was imminent, we would find out sooner rather than later. One sec. I should probably reconfigure my face rig. It's weird how sometimes some things give me a stronger reaction than others, you know? Oh yeah, quick save. Hey, Howl. Howl enters my quarters, carrying an aura of purpose with him. After Eastcrown, I know that something big has been on his mind. We were so close to the final battle, it's probably time for us to talk.
Monarch, we must speak with you. It's about our upcoming attack on Balteus. At least we think it is. Things have become complicated.
Complicated? What do you mean?
We may be walking into a trap. This may be all part of the Triumvirate's plan.
Plan? What plan?
Take their blade, feed it power, and then bring it back. This may be what they've wanted all along. We've seen it. Everything we've done has only made their weapon stronger.
Please tell me what you're thinking, Howl.
They let us steal their blade. They wanted it to happen. They knew we'd bring it here, feed it death, and tap into the idol. But not only that, we're bringing it right back to them, stronger than ever. You may think we are wrong, that this is just a foolish theory, but we must only look into the visions to realize the truth. That, combined with some of your actions, like clockwork.
What do you mean by clockwork?
It's almost like sometimes you have no other choice. You say or do things that push us down a certain path, but more often than not, that path leads us to death. How convenient, then, that the blade feeds off of death. In your hands, it has gotten more powerful than ever before. But what force, what invisible hand, guides us down this path?
Boy, way to give me emotional roller coaster and then do this whole, like, Undertale kind of thing.
It's quite simple, but we were always looking at it the wrong way. Venturing into Eastcrown and seeing that ship made us realize that, when we approached things from a different angle, it all made sense.
Perhaps you could start making sense to me then?
We've been struggling with visions of these different pasts. They seem to come out of nowhere and complicate things. Until recently, we only had to process visions of the future.
Crosses his arms.
At least, that's what we thought.
Take a step forward, interested to see where he's going with this.
But now we realize we've never seen the future at all. It's impossible to see what has not yet been written, but it is easy to see what has already happened.
Multiple timelines? Now he's lost me.
These visions of different pasts aren't as out of place as we thought. You were told you had visions of the future and chose to believe that fact, but they are not visions of the future. They, too, are simply different pasts.
What?
The key to all of this is the Blade of Exodus. It's a constant in every vision, but the power within it varies, even when it shouldn't. There are inconsistencies. Even if we have a vision of the same situation, the power inside the blade is different. The Triumvirate has some sort of dominion over time. That much is clear. They possess the ability to grant their subjects eternal life, like Ulrich and Sovy. We need to operate under the assumption that this ability can be used in other ways.
He eyes the blade on my back.
Mainly, in a way that could be used to strengthen the blade of Exodus. They could create a cycle full of death and despair that we are unable to break. When the cycle reaches an end, they could revert time and gather that power all over again. The visions of the future you thought you were having, they aren't what you thought. We believe they are visions of cycles in the past. Perhaps cycles where we have perished. Did your visions of the future involve your death in any way? Think about this, Monarch.
Yes. Now that you mention it, they did. I was sat by Sovy in a vision that started all of this. And after touching the blade, a series of visions ended with me getting stabbed. That's odd. I tell him these stories and he smirks. Seems I'm only confirming his outlandish theories.
Those were visions of past cycles, Monarch. Cycles where we failed. When we look at it like this, these different pasts make perfect sense. We've been looking at them all wrong, that is, until just recently. It seems that we retain some prior knowledge from these cycles. Perhaps that is why we act in certain ways, as if we have no options. In the back of our mind, we're pushing ourselves in the same direction.
Cycles? Directions? Please explain.
We think the Triumvirate is manipulating time. They are doing this in order to make the blade even stronger. The occupation, the formation of the rebellion, and the attack in the tunnels. All of those casualties simply serve to give the blade more power. We have no doubt that many will perish when we assault Baltius as well. But when the time comes, they can simply make it happen all over again.
It's almost too much to comprehend.
It makes sense when you think about it, especially with these tunnels. Those suits of armor knew exactly how to fortify this place for your army. They must have retained their knowledge and adapted each and every time. But only one question remains unanswered. Why? Why do they want to make this blade even stronger? What is their endgame? What do they desire? It is very possible that we are walking into a trap. That is, unless the blade has enough power to defeat them. Their plan, if it's as I expect, is a double-edged sword.
What do you mean?
An infinite cycle created specifically to power the blade. There must be a cycle, a prime cycle, where we have the power to defeat them. A point where the blade is strong enough for us to win, but not yet strong enough for them. All we can do is hope that we've reached that cycle. The power in that blade is immense, but isn't enough. Hopefully you understand what we are trying to say.
Is this some kind of purity corruption thing? What about morale? It's trying to tell me that we're trapped in some sort of time loop. A loop that the Triumvirate fashioned in order to give the blade power. And not only that, but I never saw the future. I only saw failed past endeavors. It's hard to believe, but death has definitely followed me and my allies. If their goal was to feed the blade with power, then they'd have certainly succeeded. But how far back does the cycles go? Could it reach far back as the occupation? Wait a minute. Attack on Maseo, kill innocents, and incite a rebellion. Attack that rebellion, provoke them into attacking your home, then destroy them. With what Howl said, it almost does seem likely that we're walking into a trap. This can't be.
The reason we see these things is because of the energy within us. It makes us sensitive in a way that others are not. We are both special, but I don't think visions are the only benefit of this power. There is more. Perhaps you see a flash of events that are happening elsewhere. Perhaps you can relive a conversation that has already happened. These echoes of past cycles manifest themselves in many ways. But when we look at it this way, everything makes sense. Everything has an explanation, and nothing is left up in the air. The only question is, do you believe us? Do you think we are correct?
I mean, I feel like that would be the obvious answer. Especially since I do kind of manipulate timelines. Does that mean we're the Triumvirate? Since, you know, when I chose poorly with whether or not he should, you know, since it seems to keep constantly beating him up until he finds answers, whether he should go just a little bit further to get those answers, that was the wrong choice in loyalty. That one...
Good. We knew you would see the truth of things. This was an impossible matter to discuss with anybody else. We are special. And now we finally understand the reason why.
Turns to leave, but tilts his head back and addresses me one more time. I guess he wanted to leave no stone unturned before our attack on Balteus.
The Triumvirate is up to something. That much is clear. If it aligns with our theory, at least you will be able to act. Getting caught off guard would damage us beyond repair. That is not something we want our monarch to endure. Be prepared for anything, for the enemy will stop at nothing. If you can do this, then perhaps our victory will be more likely.
No, I picked right for his loyalty. That said, he sees himself out of my room. All that came out of nowhere, and I'm not sure how to react. One thing is clear, there's so much we didn't know. But would we learn the truth in Balteus? Or would we make it that far? Even make it that far? I don't know. I still start to feel uneasy, even with all this new knowledge. Could we really have been fundamentally wrong about everything? As I go about my business, it's impossible to shake that thought out of my head. Yeah, let's hope that we got the thingy for Sovy. Don't know why it doesn't have a check mark there. This place is new. Sovy leads me to a boat and takes me on a short voyage. I have no idea where we're going, and our destination surprises me. It's not a place I've seen on any map, and looks unlike anything I've seen before. I follow behind him, unsure of where we'll end up. After a while, he turns to face me and asks for an explanation. I trust him enough to follow him here, but I had my limits.
I know that we're almost at the end, Monarch. It won't be much longer before we arrive on Baltean soil. So, it only makes sense that I show you where everything began.
Are you thousands of years old? This looks kind of like an abandoned village, but not a 1,000-year-old abandoned village, especially with wood. Like, I've been in places in America that haven't had anybody in, 50 years? 70, maybe 100? These buildings would maybe be half the size. You know, broken down and weathered. Just as broadly everything behind him.
I come from this backwater town, born and raised. It was wiped off the map after all the villagers were murdered. Given time, it might have even become the 5th nation of Alestia. But that was long ago, and nobody remembers this place. My parents were in charge of the area. They were incredibly wealthy. They had a force of men working the mines, cheap labor, and big profits.
Seems that Sovy has finally opened up to me. That was important. I needed to know that he could be trusted. And if things went well, his loyalty to our cause would be confirmed.
As their son, they had me oversee all of this labor. It was my job to make sure everybody hit their goals. I performed admirably, and put my foot down when needed.
He walks towards a nearby house and puts his hand on it. Taking a loud breath, I can tell he's reliving unpleasant memories.
Everything was going well, until the truth came out. The people who raised me weren't my parents. Not even close. They killed my parents while I was an infant and took over this town. Raising me as their own, our relationship was built on a lie. I was serving killers, and usurpers. When I found out, I felt nothing but rage. They stole this land, and the lives of its rightful rulers. Such an injustice.
The hand he was resting on the house slowly turns into a clenched fist.
I don't know what came over me, to be honest. I killed everybody. My so-called parents and all of the workers. I was lied to by those who swore they loved me. I couldn't take it.
I can understand the parents, but why the workers?
By rule of inheritance, in that moment, this town became mine. But there was nobody else, and I was all by myself. I no longer wanted to live. I took myself to the cliff's edge and thought about throwing myself into the ocean.
He turns back to face me, and I can see how sad he really is.
That's when Ulrich found me. He made sure I didn't do anything stupid. I don't know how he came across me when he did. I thought it could be Providence. But he saved me, and I told him everything. Instead of scolding me, he praised me. I was shocked. I expected to be dragged to the nearest prison. But he took me right to the Triumvirate and told them my story. That's when they wanted me to become his apprentice. I accepted. My desire for justice was something they wanted on their side. But I no longer fought for my home village. I fought for all of Alestia. I swore an oath to them that I would always fight for the rulers of this world. At the time, I believed it was them. But learning the truth of the monarchy, it just opened old wounds. I saw the Triumvirate in a new light, much like I saw my so-called parents.
I was going to say about the Triumvirate, his parents and stuff like that and whatnot. Seems like a parallel, but yeah, he said
Once more, the desire for justice rose to the forefront of my mind. You may think my allegiance changed and that it was a sudden shift, but it's not true. I've always fought for the same thing. It's just that sometimes the tables need a little turning.
Crosses his arms and seems to be done talking for now. Leads me further into the village, and I follow, trusting him more. We eventually end up at a large building, one that served as the town hall.
You may notice the bloodstains, but don't worry. I threw all the bodies off a cliff with Ulrich. You won't be seeing anything gruesome, I can assure you.
Again, this was thousands of years ago. Like, I can understand there being bodies if they fell into a glacier or something like that, or were in, like, the Arctic Circle where they'd be nicely preserved, but while this place does look a little bit cold, how is it that there are wooden structures of buildings that are thousands of years old? I mean, maybe Ulrich's thousands of years old and Sovy isn't so much, but still, this place seems to be quite nice. Just saying. Sorry I'm bringing up these things during his sad story. What an odd way to put my mind at ease.
This is where my parents lived. I was never really allowed in. I guess I should stop calling them my parents. They were more like captors. I longed to see the world, but I obeyed them out of a feeling of loyalty. I slaved away. Sometimes I'd sneak into my father's office and peel the stamps off of his letters. They were incoming letters, so it's not like they had any use. I started to collect them. I stuck them to my bedroom wall and told myself that one day I'd go and see those places. One day, I wanted to be free.
Let's add a loud sigh.
I thought I was free when the Triumvirate took me in. But it turns out I just traded one form of bondage for another. Shackles moved from my wrists to my heart. I don't know which is worse.
He holds a hand close to his heart.
They pressed the blade against my chest and gave me some of its power. It allowed me to use it as my own, and gave me what they deemed eternal life. Ulrich grew to see this as an awful curse, but I embraced it. And to this day, I still do. I see myself as a defender. I want to protect the reign of Alestia's true rulers. If the monarchy is restored to power, I will protect you, and all of your descendants. You have my word, and you know why I served the enemy. My virtue was simply misplaced. But now it rests with you, the true heir to the throne of Alestia. And that is where it shall remain, as long as I've proven my loyalty to you. Knowing everything that you do you trust me to protect you in battle?
Sure. I mean, yeah. Don't feel like you'd betray me. So I don't know about bro, though. You know, with that one thing. Maybe that was one where I wasn't close to him. Or kicked him off. Yeah, I guess that might be the case.
Thank you very much, Monarch. I knew I picked the right way to tell you the truth. If we did this anywhere else, it might have fallen flat.
He smiles, and I can tell he's extremely relieved.
I needed to get this off my chest before our attack on Balteus. Not knowing whether I had your trust, it was too much. We're comrades now, though, and I'm no longer worried.
And hey, at least I still have one immortal guy. With that, it seems like our business here is done. The choice to trust me with his past and confide in me meant a lot. None of my comrades had to carry their burdens alone. We were in this together.
Let's get back to Mazeo, all right? I'm sure there's lots to do before the end. Thanks for joining me, but I think we need to leave.
Start walking back the way we came and head to our boat. This place was wiped off the map. I had no idea that it existed. And even though it was made out of wooden structures, at least hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago, somehow it still is, nicely kept up. It makes you wonder just what else the world could be hiding. Before we get on the boat, I look back at the town one last time. After the war is over, maybe we could rebuild the place and grow it. Cheap labor in a mining town? A new nation with new rulers. If we had the opportunity, we would seize it. We start to sail away and leave this place behind us for now. But I know Sovy better than I did before, and that could only bring good. He's carrying a weight on his shoulders, and it was no longer there. It's weird that it didn't seem to have a mark there. Weird. Anyways, with us out of time, I think that's a good time for me to call it. Woof. I've been doing this Let's Play today since the episode where we did the Battle Arena. Back here. Yeah, that's where we started for me today. And the day prior, where was I? I think it was here? No, maybe it was here. Alright, it has numbers down here. Yeah. I've been doing lots of these, cause, when you start at some point, you kind of have to finish it. Kind of like when playing Adestra. Which I'm actually posting. Anyways, that's gonna be the end of this Let's Play. So comment, comments, if you like, dislike, tips, tricks, otherwise if you like my YouTube and Lexi Crow. And hey, 100% morale. Nice. Let's hope we have the right choices. Spay, neuter animals, and until next time, let's play me, GamerWolfSix, of Winds of Change. Thanks and see ya.